So the other day I had posted on Facebook and I was asking whether or not like what you're calling in and affirming is actually for you. And part of where this was coming from was after working with human design quite a bit and working with people with their human design, one of the things that I've noticed, and one of the things actually human design kind of holds in and of itself, is that the things that we're attracted to are the not self. Like, we're very curious about that, we're attracted to that, we're drawn to that, and we kind of tend to want that. And oftentimes people are wanting things that their energy doesn't support consistently, right? And they're trying to build their life off this inconsistent energy. So that's kind of where the post came from to begin with. But just also when we're working with different processes, different ceremonies, different rituals, whatever it is that you're working with, to help you bring intentions to life, to help you call in certain energies and things like that, I think often the tendency is to use general things, right? So like general affirmations. It's not necessarily super specific to us and what we're actually desiring. It's often not specific to our situation, and even what we set in terms of intention or what we phrase that we want to call in is this kind of nebulous, non-specific, it could show up in any type of way, format that we use. And so I had a reply to that post that I had made, and the person was asking, like, how do you know? Like, how can you tell if what you're calling in is meant for you or not, right? And so, one of the things, cool, you can leverage your human design to look at that. Now, granted, I do look at human design as a blueprint and not as the actual like end all be all. It's kind of like, the blueprint versus the actual building. The blueprint had certain specs, and most of the time the building's going to be kind of like that, but some places it's off or it's changed, right? It doesn't match that blueprint exactly. So the other thing is, does it seem like a bit of a stretch, right? Because if it doesn't really seem like a stretch, it's probably not for you, and that you're probably still playing very small, very safe, and you're not calling in things that would have you be and think and do and move at your fullest capacity, your fullest potential. The next way to tell is, how does the concept of what you're calling in make you feel, right? Like, do you feel anything at all, or is it just kind of this hollow, empty, more in your head type of thing that you're calling in? So, are you calling in money, but there's no specific amount, or there's no real feeling toward it? Or even, are you calling in money and you still have these beliefs and feelings towards the idea of being rich that are like, rich people are bad people, or that money is evil, or, and it's not that money like wouldn't be for you, but in your current state, like that being rich like that is not going to be for you, right? Like, you calling that in before you've cleared those beliefs, those understandings, and changed that energetic towards it, it's not for you at that moment, right? And another way to tell is, like, is it part of your values? And when I ask if it's part of your values, right, I'm asking part of the values that you have defined for yourself, that you have looked at and cultivated and reassessed and revised all those things, not the ones that we tend to kind of enter adulthood with, which a lot of those are the inherited values, the cultural values, the things that have been served to us, spoon-fed to us, sometimes shoved down our throat, that are just kind of unexamined, right? So not from that set of values, but for the set of values that you're actually cultivated yourself, you agree that like that is what you hold to be like dear and a guiding post, guiding star, and you behave that way, right? It's not just what you're saying. The next way to tell is kind of if you are in a massive people-pleasing state, right? Then whatever you're asking for and whatever intentions you're setting might not be for you, just because you like the things you're calling in may have come from other people, right? They're still coming from making other people happy. It's not truly what your soul is craving. It's just, this is what you're supposed to be doing, or this is what will make that person happy, and you're kind of not really in the equation the way that you should be. And then when you're calling in things, are you calling things in a way to be like someone else, right? And I don't mean to like aspire to a level that you're not currently at, but what I mean is literally kind of the thought of, I want, a successful business that looks like A, B, and C, but you're really finding a person that you're trying to model that off of, right? Like, and you just want it to look exactly like theirs. Because if you're trying to make it look exactly like theirs, that's probably not going to happen, because you're not exactly them, and you shouldn't be exactly them. And the last thing that I will say about whether or not something, like what you're calling it, if it's for you, is I would have caution about calling in any things that are meant to help you escape a particular situation, that's a particular style of existence, a particular environment, where that is what the driving force is. Because often, and that's not to say that, like, when I say it's not meant for you, that's not to say that you can't get any of these things, because you can create a lot of things. But what happens when we're calling in things that aren't meant for us is that it goes a little wonky, right? It goes a little wonky, or it shows up, but we're still unhappy. We're still so many things, and or it shows up and like very quickly it goes out of our life. Or it messes things up. And so when we're calling in things to help us escape from a certain situation, like, that is not necessarily meant for us or true to us, because as soon as that situation is gone, like, we may or may not still have that desire for whatever it is that we're calling in, right? And it's often not, sometimes it can be big enough to move us, but often it's not going to be big enough to move us and then sustain that energy. So those are some of the ways that you can kind of tell, or maybe question yourself and really just evaluate the possibility that what you're trying to call in, what you're affirming, maybe that's not what you need to be calling in and affirming, right? Maybe that's not something that is meant for you. And it could be not meant for you because you're meant for things that are bigger, meant for things that are better, meant for things that are greater, or it could just be you're meant for something different, right? So it's not always, it's not necessarily like a bad thing. It's not like, oh, it's not meant for you in a you're not good enough way. Like, that's never the case, right? What often is the case is you're meant for something more, and you are shortchanging yourself, or you're kind of cutting off the full extent and possibility of what could show up because you're calling in something that is smaller, right? So just food for thought. If you have any questions, reach out to me. You can find me at Lady Arejay on if I'm on a social media platform, it's at Lady Arejay. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or you can just go to theessenceofexpression.com. And if you have a question, there is a place on the site for you to go ahead and submit a question. And I'd love to hear from you guys. Take care. Have a wonderful day.